YouTube. I'm back. That chit chat's gonna get you killed.
I was sent here to sabotage this review because I don't want any more negative reviews on our movie.
You wanna hear a joke?
What's going on there, YouTube? This is SCL0320 representing JVS. So, this video is inspired and made from the heart value of a DC fan, a superhero fan at that, for Suicide Squad. And basically the title explains itself. Suicide Squad. David Ayer, whoever, Warner Brothers, they have to give credit where credit is due. And that's the reason why I want to go into all this, because I love Suicide Squad. I actually really enjoyed it. I give it a 7.8 out of 10. I actually moved it from 7.5 to 7.8 out of 10 after I did my spoiler review, after watching it twice. I'm probably going to watch it again. And actually for rewatchability, like, that's a great thing, you know what I'm saying? There's so many different good moments I loved about the movie. I mean, actually having Will Smith finally work as a unit symbolically with everybody instead of like taking the limelight. Having like an amazing Joker that was menacing and at the same exact time, like, I don't know, like the most intimidating Joker I've ever had. Like having Harley Quinn brought to life before my eyes. You know what I'm saying? And take all the negatives. Take Enchantress, take all the editing, the issues with the editing, take all the plot and defining plot that made no conceivable sense from a film standpoint, but maybe from a comic book standpoint, absolutely. Like, even with all those negatives, I still love the movie. So, what am I talking about? I'm talking about Jared Leto. He deserves to have an alternative cut of Suicide Squad that was initially made with all the scenes that he had brought to life, as well as us, as fans. We deserve it. Like, in every way. I never would thought I would be like this. Until I looked at BVS. When I looked at BVS, I love BVS. I had a problem with it. I had an 8.5 for it, right? I ended up looking at the Ultimate Cut, saw all the Superman scenes cut out of it, saw all the different plot, understanding things that were required and needed, but then it was just taking out, you know what I'm saying? And I just couldn't believe that. And now, to actually be able to have the access to be able to know what needs to take place next, I don't know, man. Anyway, what I'm about to read y'all is a couple different sequences that are really tight because they're rumored, but at the same time they're kind of confirmed, because they're basically depicting all these different sequences that were taken out of the movie. But the ones that I'm going to go ahead into first are going to be all for Harley and Joker. Those are the ones I'm going to talk about. Because the thing is, all the different sequences before, they kind of showed more of a different side to Joker than what we got. What we got was this mad love, this weird kind of dynamic where Joker was really on the sympathetic side. He's sick. And obviously he basically used electroshock therapy to mold and shape her mind in the way that he wanted to, abusively. You know what I'm saying? But it's not like lingered too long that it would like make a lot of contrived sense. Not just that, there's a lot of things that happened to Harley even while she got locked up. So, I mean, it was kind of left up to interpretation. But I'll read you one sequence, right? One sequence says, extended scene of Joker interrogating Captain Griggs, which is the guy that basically took Harley Quinn, started like feeding her effervescently, like straight through the nose and torching her essentially, and kind of making her life a little hell. It basically says, including the line, "I can't wait to show you my toys." You know, we saw that from the trailer, right? Which was in the early trailer, but was removed from the movie. The extended sequence of Joker breaking into Nanobomb manufacture facility to arrange for Harley's neck bomb to be disabled. This was taken out. Like, now, why was this taken out? I mean, well, you know what? I'm not going to go into that. I'm just going to describe certain sequences for y'all that were taken out of the film, and then I'll go with my inference of what I thought about it. Let's see. Harley using a baseball bat as a mock gun to play shoot at an invisible foe. We saw that from the trailer. Why was that removed? I don't know. As I said, I'm going to be going through all the Harley Quinn and all the Joker stuff. Y'all would know this probably the best. Extended bar scene with Harley taking everyone's orders. Deadshot calls for a shot. Katana asks for whiskey. Croc and Boomerang settle for a beer. Harley asks DIablo what he wants. He prefers water, which everyone jokes. And she says it's a good idea. And then the scene was featured in the trailers, but the movie cut directly to Deadshot's speech about them almost getting pulled from the mission, which that happened actually in the film. So, I mean, I think about that, and I think about, like, the fact that there's a lot of dark things that happen in this film. Even the language standpoint. The language barrier in this movie is very dark. And I think that based on the language alone, like, I don't know, based on the language alone, it seemed like the movie could have been tailored to be a rated R film. And I think that based on just Harley and Joker alone, I could have pushed that envelope there. With a lot of the sequences I'm about to describe to you next. But just in the language, and even in that sequence, like Harley cussed, Will cussed, a lot of different people was doing some, you know, shady stuff. And I mean, they're also villains that kill people. So none of their past stuff that they've done, like Killer Croc, Katana, or the kills that they've done before, really shown. You know, like I'll give you an example for Killer Croc. Early reports indicated more backstory for Killer Croc, revealing that he hit that, what does that say? His entire life as a social outcast due to his physical appearance, and has convinced himself that he is beautiful in his own way. Croc crossed paths with Batman while working as a muscle for hire on numerous Gotham's crime bosses. And then while secretly planning to take over one day, there were also scenes displaying his affinity for making sculptures out of discarded materials or feces. Aside from the jokes about Croc viewing himself as beautiful, one of these things was retained in the final cut, which we did see, and actually that, like I described before. Also deleted was a scene where he becomes sick at the helicopter escort Midway City, throws up half a digested pieces of a goat, and then eats them back again, disgusting the nearby Navy SEALs, right? So, I mean, that sequence alone is very gross, very grotesque, and very dark, and then, but it's like, I don't know, I feel like some punches were held. You know what I'm saying? And I don't want to point fingers at WB. I don't want to point fingers at David Ayer. All I know is this has happened before. And what happened before is Zack Snyder, he didn't deny that it was a director's cut. He didn't deny that it was something, you know, he got his hands like pushed or swayed. He just was like saving face. And then when the director's cut came out, he was like, this is the movie I wanted to give y'all. And this is what I couldn't. You know what I'm saying? My hands were tied. David Ayer, he said that the movie, the film that's out right now is his director's cut. That is his cut. You know what I'm saying? And I don't believe that. I can't believe as a director that he would have so many sequences of the Joker and other people and even arcs like this and just kind of take them out without any hands crossed. You know what I'm saying? Maybe he made a deal where he was able to keep the sequences that he absolutely wanted and needed to have to keep the story and a fault like the way he wanted it. But at the end of the day, he still got crossed. You know what I'm saying? And that's the thing. That's the way I'm really feeling internally as a fan. And that's the reason why I'm petitioning and saying we need the alternate edition. Like, that's deserved from Jared's standpoint. Because these next sequences I'm probably going to describe to you, y'all going to be probably pissed about. Because I remember seeing the behind the scenes for these things. And one of the ones I'll go ahead and describe for you is one sequence where Joker and Harley get into a fight, which ends with Harley pointing a gun in Joker's head, right? Joker sweet talks Harley into lowering her gun, charming her, and then backhands her across the face afterwards sweet talks her again, and they kiss. Now, I remember seeing this sequence play out and everything. Like, they rehearsed it multiple times. He was on a motorcycle and then stopped, and like he pulled up off on his car, his purple car, and that she had the gun to his head, and he was just like, come on, you know. And I remember seeing this, and I was like, why did this get cut? And I think that ultimately, the way that I look at it from our perspective is that it would have saved so much more face time on them that it would have overshadowed the other characters like DIablo or Will that, you know, kind of came off to us really well. The team came off really well. But it deflates the story because that is much a story as the stuff that's going on with Enchantress. The Enchantress stuff was not the bulk of the story, and that's the problem. I think the real plot, really internally, had to do with like Joker getting his girl back, and the fact that he's not just getting her back because, you know, he needs her. He's getting her back because he wants her, and that's out of control. That's out of abuse, and the whole relationship and standpoint is for Harley that there is a better way. Yes, these folks are crazy, you know, and they're killers too, but they're not gonna be out there to hurt her or abuse her or hurt her, you know, be that for her. So I think that was the reason why they kind of cut it out, because it would have made it a whole different movie. And then Enchantress stuff just would have been the icing on the cake as an action sequence beat versus a real stable perspective of where they're trying to go with it. And that's what I can give y'all, because I'm gonna read the rest of it. There's one other sequence where Joker and Harley get into an argument after he rescues her in the hijacked helicopter. In earlier cuts, he reportedly pushes her out to kill her, and then the helicopter gets shot down. This was apparently reworked into the helicopter getting shot down first and Joker pushing her out to save her. Sound weird? Then remove several scenes with the Joker to repaint his relationship with Harley, making it more loving rather than abusive. Okay, next one, which most people will know this if you know Endgame, of seeing Joker's scarred face to the side, still alive after the sequence with the helicopter, right? And this is what it reads. Joker returns during the final battle in the subway station, face half burnt from the helicopter crash, which apparently leads to a brief altercation with the Suicide Squad. And he calls for Harley to escape with him, but she refuses for once in order to help her friends. And with Joker escaping by stopping, throwing a live grenade at the group, and then as he says bye-bye, he escapes. Now, that's a whole different dynamic of what happened. And that shows you that if he was in the very end with the Enchantress part, right, then he is also a device that's meant to keep and hold them back, as well as a big part of Harley's evolution as a character. Because a lot of people also were assessing like what happened with Will or Deadshot and her character. Like, I mean, it was really inferred that they've met before, or they've had moments before of talking, because she really respects him, she really cares about him, and she's really grown to, like, you know, allow him to be the leader for the group of misfits, essentially. And it was like, after the point she realized her pudding was dead, you know, everybody looked at it like, oh, well, she removed the pudding thing because, you know, her pudding's dead. That doesn't make sense. She would keep that as an homage, right? Instead, based on these sequences alone and her taking that off, she threw it off for the first time, realizing that he was not good for her. And it might have been because he tried to kill her and push her off. And she was just too hurt and sick to want to be with him. Like, even though she knew that was wrong, at that point that he was dead, she was like, I can't do this anymore. This wasn't any good for me anyway. And then at that moment, that was when Will got there for her, picked her up, and, you know, set her where she needed to be. So it made this, to me, just that sequence alone adds validity to these sequences. And you know these sequences are not here. There's another moment where, there's an extended Batmobile chase sequence, right? It was with more interaction between Joker and Harley. One of the examples presented in all the trailers is Joker punching the roof of the car, getting upset, right? Remember that. Jared nailed it. And then another one, Joker and his men escaping after shooting up the restaurant, right? Harley, who was already affiliated with the Joker, follows them on a motorcycle, intercepts the car, and Joker bangs his head against the glass in frustration because Harley caught him. So, I mean, there's so many sequences, y'all. I don't even want to go through all of them because it's so for everybody. I think the ones that kind of did the most disservice to would probably be Enchantress, though. Enchantress and Jared Leto, which to me, they put in the most work because Enchantress has to be, I mean, the girl that plays Enchantress, she has to be two different people. Jared Leto has to transform his whole entire self. And for me, looking at it, like, if he had not been the most impactful moment, like, all throughout the shooting process and staying in character, they would not have thrived as a unit like they did. They at least owe it to be able to show these sequences, not in a deleted scene. Maybe David, listen to me. I don't know if you're going to listen to this or watch this, but David Ayer, if you can, set up the sequences the way that you had planned them out, just for the Joker alone, in your huge deleted sequence. Take it not as like different cuts, but make it a whole sequence where it shows everything that the Joker was doing. Everything that, you know what I'm saying, that Jared Leto was doing. If not that, just please, like, the man, based on work alone, he deserves an alternative cut. Like, just, if you do have it, allow us to see what you had with the sequence that he put up. Like, that's all I'm really saying. I feel like for the person that played with Enchantress, her and Rick Flagg, like, their relationships were so much more impactful as well. I saw a sequence in the trailer where it was like they were like face to face behind like some lockers and they were kissing, and I was like, where is that in this movie? There's so many different moments in the trailers that did not show up in this movie that are just appalling. And you'll see it throughout most of this video. I'll take those sequences and I'll put them up. And I had to go into the movie not allowing that to play a factor in my perception because my anticipation would have been to see those things, but at the moment that I realized they weren't, I was kind of disgusted. I was kind of jaded that they didn't have those in there. And I think that plays an effect into my score because I know that the plot and I know the story was shifted and shaped differently just because of that, unfortunately. And I'll read one last one. In early cuts, the movie's opening detailed June Moon's possession by Enchantress in real time. Reshoots scuffle the scene, and later in the movie, the flashback form favor a opening centered on Deadshot. More scenes of Rick Flagg and June Moon's romantic relationship, including him reading the files of the Suicide Squad recruits after Waller delivers them to him. Another scene with Flagg and Moon was out on a date. And I mean, I remember that from the trailer. I remember straight up when he was kind of reading off each one of these names and she was there. You know, a lot of people wouldn't have seen that, but I noticed it from the trailer. And I don't know, man, it just kind of really sucks because if I focus on it too much, I'll feel cheated. I'll feel jaded, just like I did when I looked at the Batman Ultimate Edition. Batman vs. Superman Ultimate Edition, when I looked at it, I was like, man, I'm never going to look at the theatrical version again, you know? And it's like, with Suicide Squad, it was a good movie. I enjoyed it. It was entertaining. It was what I was hoping for, you know? But I know that there was a whole different kind of movie there. Like, those moments when you're actually seeing the flashbacks for Harley with Joker, and this lightning kind of flashes and it goes and transitions so fast, back. When he brought her down, right, and like used electrical shock therapy, we all know, we saw this sequence when he was like, oh, I'm not going to kill you. I'm just going to hurt you really, really bad. You know, and it was totally different than how it actually played out in the theatrical version. And I was just like, because the way the transition went, you don't get to really feel it as much as the weight that it could have. You know, it would have felt really menacing, it would have felt uncomfortable, it felt abusive, you know? And that's the movie that would have came from it, but that would have been a rated R film. Now, from a production standpoint, from WB standpoint, I understand you want to have something that can work in all mediums and enjoyable. But from a concrete, right, critic standpoint, you have to allow the plot to be defined based on what the vision the director had and how he wrote it. Because you can't just like take it and edit, because the rumor is that they had the people that actually did the second or third trailers that added all these music videos and sound bites, to just like make the movie. And I hope that that's not true, but there are a lot of moments that feel forced in terms of how they brought in the musical moments, that some of them fit perfectly, like that Joker sequence where before she jumped off into the vat and changed herself into Harley Quinn, that musical moment was perfect. The moment when they were in the bar sequence, the score was perfect. Like the transitions for those were good, but there were moments where I was like, where's this Eminem song doing here? And I could tell somebody added that in like that, and it just didn't fit personally. And I don't know, man, like that's the thing that I had a real issue with this movie, is that we didn't get what we really were deserved from what the envisionment that the director had. Now, whether he decided that, you know, for me to make this movie, for them to allow me to have this movie, I'm gonna save face and say this is my movie. Regardless of the fact, David, if you ever watch this video, any of y'all that take this, share it with whoever you can, because in my personal opinion, this movie could have been amazing. And I think it was, but it had to be changed and altered from the perspective of keeping it PG-13, keeping it mild and tempered versus being abusive and overshadowed with depth and like conflict from evil and bad and good. And because the essence of the movie to me could have been that nobody's good. If you look at Amanda Waller and Rick Flagg, what they were doing were terrible things. They put them in that situation, and everybody else was no better, you know? It's just they're trying to find that common ground of decency. But that's not who these characters are defined, because they're all villains, you know what I'm saying? So, all I can say is please give us an alternative cut to Suicide Squad that Jared Leto deserves, that the director really, if he knows it or not, deserves to give face, and that we deserve. That's all I gotta say. Hopefully y'all enjoyed this interactive perspective on the things missing from Suicide Squad that I think are deserving of an alternate cut. Keep it locked. JBS, we ain't gonna stop. I'm gone, y'all. Peace.
You want to hear a joke? Why did Batgirl get into the sky? Because she had to get through a wheelchair. YouTube, this is the introduction. I don't know if I can do it. This job sounds like a dork. Of Sal something or another. And I just wanted to present this to y'all. Do you see this? This is Banana Man. But that faker, this is what this is all about tonight. We're supposed to be talking about a faker named Jared Leto. Everybody know My Chemical Romance is better. But
yeah, I was like, I wanted to surprise y'all. I thought that'd be funny. If it wasn't funny and it kind of frightened some of y'all, I apologize. If kids were watching, they were kind of frightened, I'm not sorry. No, I am sorry, seriously. But yeah, hopefully y'all enjoyed this open discussion, and thanks everybody for watching. Y'all have a great afternoon, blessed day. SEL0320 signing out. Later.
And the Joker too.